The airport was loud, chaotic, and filled with flashing cameras, but beneath all that noise, something far more subtle and far more real was unfolding in plain sight. When BTS stepped into view, fans and media rushed to capture every second, every glance, every interaction. Yet, as always, what people chose to see and what actually happened were two very different things. In one particular moment, the cameras caught Jimin moving closer to Jungkook, reaching out and placing a hand near his neck. It was quick, almost fleeting, but Jungkook's response was even quicker. Without hesitation, he shifted his body and firmly moved Jimin aside, creating distance in a way that felt instinctive rather than performative. There was no smile to soften the action, no playful energy to disguise it. It was clear, direct, and unambiguous. Jungkook was setting a boundary. In a space where idols are often expected to blur personal lines for the sake of public perception, that small action carried weight. Yet, almost immediately, narratives began to form. Some claimed it was protective, others tried to reshape the moment into something romantic. But when you slow it down, when you really watch it without bias, the truth becomes impossible to ignore. Jungkook wasn't pulling someone closer, he was creating space for himself. That's what made the moment so significant. It wasn't dramatic or loud, but it was honest. And honesty, especially in an environment filled with expectations and projections, is rare. Jungkook showed, in a matter of seconds, that he is no longer willing to play along with interpretations that don't reflect his true feelings. Boundaries are not cold, they are necessary. And in that crowded airport, surrounded by cameras and noise, Jungkook chose himself. He chose comfort, clarity, and control over his own space, even if it meant being misunderstood. But what makes this story even more compelling is what happened later, when the scene shifted completely. When BTS returned to Incheon Airport, the energy was just as intense, but something else stood out. Something softer, quieter, yet deeply meaningful. As they descended the escalator, security creating a natural distance between them, Jungkook's attention seemed fixed elsewhere. Not on the cameras, not on the crowd, but on Taehyung. Even with people surrounding them, he found a way to move closer, step by step, until he was right behind him. It wasn't rushed or forced. It felt natural, almost like muscle memory. As if being close to Taehyung wasn't something he had to think about, it was simply where he belonged in that moment. And then came the gesture that caught everyone's attention. Jungkook reached out and adjusted Taehyung's bandana. It was small, almost easy to miss, but the care behind it was unmistakable. He didn't just fix it quickly and pull away, he lingered. That extra second mattered. It showed intention. It showed awareness. It showed that even in chaos, Jungkook was focused on Taehyung's comfort. Not because anyone asked him to, not because cameras were watching, but because he wanted to. There's something powerful about actions that come naturally. You can't fake that kind of instinct. The way his hand stayed just a little longer than necessary spoke louder than any words ever could. Moments like that reveal a different side of connection. One that isn't built on performance, but on presence. Jungkook didn't need to say anything. The gesture said everything. And it didn't stop there. In another clip, as they sat close to each other, Jungkook naturally leaned in, closing the distance without hesitation. His body language was relaxed, confident, and open, completely different from the earlier moment at the airport. That contrast is what makes everything so telling. With some interactions, there is distance. With others, there is closeness that feels effortless. It's not about favoritism or narratives. It's about comfort. Comfort is something you can't force. It shows up in the way you sit next to someone, the way you reach out without thinking, the way you stay close even when you don't have to. And perhaps one of the most talked about moments came from a playful video in the pool. At first, it seemed like nothing more than a light-hearted challenge, filled with laughter and teasing. But as the clip continued, the dynamic between Jungkook and Taehyung became impossible to ignore. Jungkook moved closer, step by step, until Taehyung was backed against the edge. It wasn't aggressive, it was playful, but there was intention behind it. He wasn't just playing the game, he was fully engaged with Taehyung. Taehyung's reaction was immediate. A small push, a quick attempt to create space, but then came the blush. That genuine, uncontrollable reaction that can't be scripted or planned. Even after being pushed away, Jungkook didn't retreat completely. He stayed close, holding his ground, his expression soft but focused. It was as if the moment itself mattered more than the outcome of the game. And then there was the look. That quiet, lingering gaze that said more than words ever could. Jungkook watched Taehyung with a kind of attention that felt personal, almost like he was memorizing the moment. These are the kinds of details that people feel, even if they can't always explain them. It's not about grand gestures, it's about consistency. The way someone shows up again and again, in small, meaningful ways. In another setting, standing side by side during a recording, the same pattern appeared. No distance, no hesitation, just two people standing so close that it felt natural, like second nature. Taehyung's posture was relaxed, his expression calm. There was a quiet confidence in the way he carried himself, as if simply knowing Jungkook was there was enough. And Jungkook, though composed and focused outwardly, seemed tuned in to every small movement beside him. Even without direct eye contact, there was awareness, a silent understanding. That's what real connection often looks like. Not loud, not exaggerated, but steady, present, unspoken. Beyond these moments, their journey as individuals adds even more depth to everything we see. Jungkook, despite his global success, continues to carry humility that feels rare at his level. Even after drawing massive crowds with minimal notice, he still questions himself, still strives to be better. Taehyung, on the other hand, carries a warmth that draws people in effortlessly. His presence alone creates connection, yet he remains deeply aware of the people who support him, valuing their sincerity above everything else. Together, they represent something more than just talent. They represent growth, resilience, and authenticity. Two individuals who have faced immense pressure, yet continue to hold on to who they are. Their story isn't just about fame or success, it's about the moments in between. The quiet gestures, the shared glances, the unspoken understanding that builds over time.